Hey everybody.
Hey everybody.
Morning.
We are
We
live.
are
We had a
live.
few
We had a
technical
few technical
problems, and be aware
be
that
aware that
David might
David
randomly
might
drop
randomly
off.
drop
If he
off.
does,
If he does,
that's okay.
that's
He
okay.
will
He will
eventually come
eventually
back,
come
I think.
back, I think.
Yeah, maybe. It's been an
It's been
interesting
interesting
little bit.
So I just, I don't
I
normally
don't
host.
normally host.
So
So
if everyone can
if
just
everyone can just
let me know
let
if
me
you can
know
hear
if you can
David
hear
and
David
myself,
and myself,
that'd be wonderful.
Wonderful.
You're getting an
You're getting
echo.
an echo.
Uh-oh. Why are we getting an echo?
I think I heard an echo too.
How about now? Is that better? Is that better than before?
I kind of like the echo.
like
It's
the
like a
echo.
dream.
It's like a dream. Well, there was an extra audio source in there, and so I'm wondering if that's what happened.
Let's see if the echo
the
is
echo
gone
is
now.
gone now. I'm hoping it is. If not, I will.
No, it's still there. I think.
I think. All right, I'm just gonna listen to it here.
Let's read some chilling like Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep, I think it is still there. Okay, let me try this.
Oh, the raven.
How about this? Is that better? Did we get rid of the echo now?
I don't know.
So I think my audio output was
Yeah, that sounds better now.
okay. I had my audio sources messed up, so I'm hoping I don't on my other screens. It's not that bad, so I think we're good now. So sorry, guys. Wouldn't be a good Sunday stream if we didn't have some audio issues.
Yeah, right. Something's gotta go. Sideways.
Yeah, I had my audio output capture playing, and that was, I think, the problem.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so I'm feeling better. I had a rough Thursday, Friday. My son decided to give me the brief 24-hour, 48-hour flu that he had, and so that was not fun, but I'm feeling good now. Yay.
Well, good is better than not good, right?
It is, absolutely. And we have a couple topics to chat about. But if there's any other additional topics you guys want to chat about, let us know. I was digging around. Oh, but before we do that, we should just quickly say
Do the thing.
hello, Patreons. Thank you so much for everything you guys do. It's really great having you guys with us. And thanks to Helge for being at Tree Supports, and thanks for everyone else on the list here. We appreciate you guys, and thanks a lot for being a part of the team. And don't forget, you can join us on Discord. If you join Patreon, you can chat with the group, and yeah, we post lots of interesting stuff in there. So there. And yeah. So I just we didn't have a ton of topics for today, but a couple things that we that I've been trying to dig around and try to find the latest versions of some CNC software, and I ran into some people stopping supporting, or at least I can't find a very new version of a piece of software. Specifically, I was looking for Candle, and I did end up finding that the original developer kind of hasn't really released anything since like 2019, I want to say. And then someone else seemed to have forked it, and they called theirs now Candle 2, whereas before it was like 1.2. And so they added more features and functionality, and it's like was last updated in like October. So quite a bit newer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and maybe David, you know, is there a good way of tracking forks and that, or do you just have to like scrounge around?
Well, like if you have a project you're interested in, you can go to the GitHub and click on the forks to see who have forked it. And so GitHub's, if you guys haven't seen it, it's probably one of the biggest changelog repository for developers and everything like that. And you can see like if there's an active fork, who forked it. If you forked it, it's in your GitHub. So if you, I'm just gonna get one up here, but
Do you want me to share your screen?
in a minute, 1 second. I'm just trying to find a good one that has some forks. Yeah, so you can share screen if you want.
All right.
Maybe. I should just check this one over so I can see what's going on. But like if you go into a good project or one of your favorite ones, you can see here like all of the current project stuff inside of that on the Git. But if you go up here, there's a fork, and you must be signed in. I'm going to type my super secret password in maybe. Should be able to see the fork log. Oh dear. Hold on. Yeah, I got excited. Jeez. Make it hard, why don't you?
Live demos are awesome.
Well, I mean, two-factor definitely makes it interesting to live demo stuff.
This is true. But it keeps it safe.
Right? Now, when you fork a repository, you get the whole repository with it, which is kind of good. It gives you a good kickoff point.
Serious echo from David. I wonder if that was just on the one screen.
That could be because the audio sources would be the same.
I'll have to look. Does he still have echo?
Hello?
On this transition screen. Well, when we switch back, I'll look and see if I've got the sources muted right on that slide.
That's fair. But out of curiosity, in the chat, how many people are using GitHub right now? Like you have an account, you're on board with the Git. Does anybody use it right now?
I mostly use it just to download repositories and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dominic said
it was just on the one stream.
So when we switch, I'll see about cleaning that up.
Okay. I thought it was me. I closed everything down. Just use Git for downloading. Yeah, and lots of people like use Git for, just literally like getting the new version of Bruce's the Slicer or whatever it happens to be, which is fine. I think you have to go in and do the code search now, like in the actual Git command, and search for fork.
Yeah, I was just trying to find a decent way of like, Google was pretty good. It found two versions of the Candle software, and by two different developers, and the one did reference in the Google search information the previous fork or the original repository, I guess. And so, but yeah, I'll be using Universal G-code sender, I think is what I will be using
for your CNC control.
Yeah.
I set up Candle on the Raspberry Pi, but I don't think I did Candle too.
Yeah, and the Universal G-code sender apparently is, well, first of all, it was updated in January. It gets updated regularly, and it seems to have quite a few more features and whatnot. So,
well, we see that too, like not just with the candle and universal sender, but like stuff like fluid and the other one. I can't remember, for Clipper, right? Like one's usually a little bit faster than the other. Oh, Tyler's here.
hey, Tyler. And no, Dominic, as far as I know, there's no reverb coming from David, but unless my system's doing something weird.
I have control. I'm sending the audio through my. Yep. Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah. On mine. Preference.
I can't. As far I'm only got two sources. I got that are sending audio out right now. So,
yeah. I hear what they mean though. It's very echoey.
Weird. I don't know. I've even got my phone muted and everything.
Well, it's not. It's the line signal from OBS that's doing it. One second. I'll just check my thing here. No.
You sound good on my end, so I'm not sure. It must be my output.
Yep. I was going to say it's definitely in the OBS output.
And I don't know how to fix that. So
your monitor line in is looping back. The loop back.
But I had no my monitor was off. Setting advanced. Sorry guys, all my monitors are off. Audio monitoring is off on all.
But they said it also only happened when you switch scenes. So
weird. Okay, well, we can try switching scenes. Are you ready to share?
Yeah, why not? I got stuff up, sure. Oh yeah, that'll do it. Is it hello? Is it better? Okay. Yeah. This screen's much better. Yes. So one of the things we wanted to kind of go through a little bit. Just typing. Sorry. One of the things we were going to go through a little bit. Speaking of GitHubs and forks, is one of the biggest forks of Prusa Slicer, and that is Super Slicer. So how many Super Slicer users do we have in the room? I think there was a few, if I remember correctly. We had a few Super Slicer guys. But when you download Super Slicer, it comes from their repo. And you have to kind of look for the current releases. So if I'm just going to pop this window over here. So no, you need to add your audio source to the scene. So when you come to their GitHub here, you can either go to their main one or the releases. And the releases is where you're going to find like their current work. So they've got like pre-releases and beta up here. And so this is where the change log actually happens. And we've talked about it before a bit with like Marlin and even Prusa, when you go in and you're like, hey, what's new? Well, this is what new. So this is what GitHub really gives developers. Gives us an opportunity to show what we're fixing, why we're fixing it. And if it is open source, you can see the little highlighted tag IDs here that say, oh, well, dark mode is causing some crashes. It was reported by a user. And you can see that it's marked as a bug in the bottom of that little window, and that it's been marked for fix in the next version. So it gives us as users the opportunity to see, hey, this current development is working on stuff that we're suggesting. And like Greg said too, when you're looking for projects that give you the best use, the one that you need to install, you want to check and make sure that when you look up here that you're relatively new. It doesn't say like 4 years ago somebody made a change, right? And you can see the same kind of development in Kira on their GitHub, and also on and Prusa Slicer. Sorry. So if we just compare, here's Prusa Slicer's GitHub, and see they're 10 days ago. And it makes sense when you think of this one, Super Slicer being slightly behind Prusa. So when you click this fork button, you get all the active changes in the other project, and then you can import them into your project. So it makes sense that this one's updates are slightly a laggy indicator from Prusa. So Prusa will be more on top of their own product. And since this one is a fork, they're going to have to wait and then pull. So that kind of makes sense there. But when you're looking to get Super Slicer, we were talking earlier about it. It's kind of weird. So if we scroll down the page here, you'll see a few different, like here's a beta release, and the other one was the, I think, release candidate. But we're looking for a download, and this is the final 2.3. This is the one we're going to look at. And you can see they're like, oops, we called it the wrong version. Our bad. But and it shows you again all of the fixes and stuff as we go through. And when you get down just underneath the release, you'll usually find the compiled or the release files. And this one's kind of interesting because you get your tarballs, your DMG for Mac, App Image for Linux. You get a few different options, but you'll note that none of them are actually like technically compiled. So you'll get the project, but just not in an installer package. So for like most users, like the app image or even the tarball or the tarzip, that'll be normal for Linux, right? That'll usually downloads, you can launch them however you accomplish it through GUI. And I'm not sure, like I know Kira had some command line slicing stuff. I don't know if this one does, I would imagine. But you end up with a folder, a zip. And so then you have to unzip it, which means lots of the settings probably will get saved internally. You might get an app data, which we'll look for in a second. So I'm just going to launch Super Slicer here. We'll see. So first off, hey, Greg, this isn't a good sign. Like, I don't know if you guys, like Windows 10 and beyond, even 11 will do this. If you try to run a piece of software that's not digitally signed correctly, you're going to get this error. And like, you won't see it usually once they get to the installer phase. So if you have like a double click it, you got to click next a bunch to like actually install it on Windows. Generally, they've signed it by that point. But when you get these zip files like this, they could skip the signing of the compiled software. So we know this one's mostly safe, but when you see this window, be careful. Is it not? Oh, so Greg can't be heard apparently. Sorry. Yeah. The Linux. So Stig says, "I love App Image. There's nothing to install." I love App Image too, but it does come with some of the problems. Some not problems, but let's say quirks. If you wanted to like add your own printer into the app image, then you got to open the app image and actually work inside of it. Whereas like if we look at like non-Linux versions, so basically Mac and Windows, it installs into the user profile, like Kira specifically. And so then when you run it, it actually saves to the app data. We're going to look at that in a second. So I'm going to just run anyway. And we'll see what happens. I haven't actually opened this particular piece of software. Okay, there it is. So it doesn't actually pop up, which is actually another, it's kind of it's a sign that it might be thrown together a bit, which is fine, but usually it should get set to pop presently in front of your face, which, so Super Slicer, welcomes us. It's nice. It's very nice. This is the first screen. And I see here that we can pick some printers, and they have a fairly robust list of printers in Super Slicer. I don't think I have the latest version on this computer because I had to delete it recently, but of Prusa. So we can look and we can see that there is indeed like Predators. We've got their Anycubic series, like the Megas. I don't see a Chiron profile, which is kind of different, but hey, it's a printer and they should include it. Artillery, Sidewinder stuff, Hornet, it's all in there. Lots of Creality stuff. And when I say lots, I mean like every Creality, I think almost. I can't think of one that's not in there. Let's grab, so you could have custom machines, which is cool. So like if you do make a printer like yourself, they've got a lot of custom support in this one. So it does look, and they got rat rig. I can't even scroll down on the side here to see how many they have. Can I do this? Okay, we can do this. So you can't scroll through the printer config, but you can click next, and you can see rat rig support. I bet you when we get down to the bottom, we'll have Voron. Yeah, there's Voron. So Super Slicer has a lot of built-in printers. Now, I think the question to pose, and you guys can answer this in the chat too, is does having more printers listed make it a better slicer? So if you have more printers there, does it make it more robust than say like, I saw some folks say like Kira 3.6 and 4.8, so they'll have less printers. But like if you're missing a few printers, is it a bad thing? And like in my opinion, I would say no. Really, like when Prusa Slicer first released, like at first revision, it only had support for like Prusa printers, and then it said custom, and that's what we used, and we made custom profiles. But out of the box, this is cool. So let's pick a Creality, and we're gonna pick, let's say, an Ender 3 V2. It's interesting to note too, and this is in Prusa Slicer, so you can compare these two, that the Ender 3 V2 doesn't have a BL Touch profile, but it's important to know that if you're in the Ender 3 family, without being the max, that one's a special case. But if you're in the Ender 3 family, all of these will work. So you could pick the BL Touch one. If you have a BL Touch Ender 3 of any variety, you can use that one. But let's pick this 0.4, and then we're just going to click Finish, which in theory should bring us to... So, I mean, this is Super Slicer, and we kind of wanted to go through it just to see if there was like notable differences between Super Slicer and like, you know, the one that we like to use a lot.
Not sure if I'm getting echo or if people can hear me now.
I don't know. Can you guys tell me if it can be heard? Let me. I don't. You sound good now, buddy. Yeah. So I'm just gonna grab a model here. And we will do 3D Benchy because Benchy is the supreme thing, I guess. And we'll bring Benchy into the slicer, and we're actually looking for a few things with Benchy. And we've talked about it before. Benchy is a damaged model, like the published one. So when you're looking at printing Benchy, it should be repaired before you before you try to download it. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Hey guys, check this out. So I'm on so this is the 3D Benchy homepage. And look, this model has been disabled. And then you click the Thingiverse link and it goes to 404 not found. The thing you were looking for isn't here. Let's see if they're on cults. Okay, so we still get cults. Interesting that some of the stuff isn't showing up. Do we get it on... Do they have it on things? I forget if they were on thanks. Anyway, we'll download a different one because I don't really want to... We'll do Cali Cat. Cali Cat. And let's get it. Doop. Boom. All right, there. That was quick. So we have Cali Cat, and there's no reports of it being damaged, which is good. If we right-click the model, it looks like we have all the same kind of like scaling options that we do in the latest version of Prusa. It looks like you can add milling. So maybe some like the what machine is that? I can't remember the name, but some of the machines come with milling parts, including Creality machines. So that's probably what you can just set up in here, which is nice. And since it's not damaged, I don't see the repair object, which is fine. One thing that we could do, let's turn on supports for enforcers only. And unless I'm blind, I don't see the paint on supports. Let's turn on expert mode just to make sure. Oh, there we go. So Super Slicer, you have to be an expert to see the paint on supports, and then you can add them. So like the fork is really, really similar to the way Prusa Slicer operates. Let's just see here. Yeah. Same reporting, so the blue stuff is overhang and bridging is the red, top infill is the red. Bridging is the light blue, which you won't see unless you scroll down and look at your model. So we have a little bit of solid infill, and there's the internal bridge on the head, which isn't really a bridge because if you look at that, it's printing right on top of that gyroid support. So, and this was just sliced right off the get-go. It would be about an hour to print it on an ender, which is actually a pretty decent setting. Just out of the box. Like I didn't change anything. I just hit slice and here we go. So like that's a pretty healthy print time, shall we say. So I'm actually kind of impressed that the profile gets it right down. Yeah, Thingiverse has been having more issues as of late, like Stig says, so it's not like super surprising. But I heard you when you talked. Talk again. Not much in the video. Yeah, you're on the video. Yeah. Guys, can you hear Greg? Greg, talk. I think they can hear you. Stig, tell us you can hear sweet Greg. I think you are. We'll see. But again, along the top here on Super Slicer, it does look like it's the same settings. Just it's been reskinned. Nope, no audio. That's weird because I'm hearing you through the YouTube video. That's not coming through my head. Like weird. Anyway, so we look at the same settings. Raymond's like, nope. We have the same layout as Prusa Slicer. It's just been reskinned up top. We have the same kind of G-code viewer, but they've actually added a different snap menu. So like in Prusa Slicer, when you're on your view, the actual slice menu shows up in the bottom, and then you can switch between. So that's a little bit different. I see a lot of nope. And then I'm not sure. I know one version, the last version, I didn't have that, but I'm pretty sure the newest one added the snappy thing. So lots of people tout this slicer just like because it's a little different, it's a little more universal.
Now, why would? So now I think they're getting echo. but they're not hearing me.
They're getting echo, but not hearing you. I don't know what you're doing. Just use sign language like the dude on the COVID updates. Yeah. So when we look at like Super Slicer, in general, why, like, you could switch it back to the big screen if you want. We're going to switch screens again. Let's see how this works. Greg brings echo with him. I don't hear anything coming from. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hear. I think I hear it. Let's just go with I can hear it. Guys, if you can't hear it after I say it, can you hear this? Let us know. I'm pretty sure it's fine. No, Greg. Okay. Well, now we're big screen, so I can talk to you as Big David, and Greg can like thumbs up and smile and frown. So like, let's pose the question to everybody. What makes a product like Super Slicer?
See, I don't know if they can hear me now.
Better
if they're hearing you, and me, and you.
They should be hearing both of us.
How about now? Can you hear both of us now?
Why are you interrupting my question?
I'm sorry.
Gee. If you hear him now and again, let us know. But the question that I was trying to ask is, why is a product like Super Slicer, why might it be more attractive or better than a product like Kira or Prusa Slicer?
I don't know, because
can hear both.
Yeah, for some reason, I can do a combined audio out, but whatever. It's working.
Combined
sort
is
of
good. Yeah.
I just had to turn off your NDI source so we didn't get echo, because that's what was happening earlier. Okay, so I think it's okay because they're trying to support other printers that maybe Prusa isn't trying to support, like, you know, in the with the settings and whatnot and in development.
Mm-hmm.
But I do find Prusa to be very flexible and some of the profiles that are slowly being merged into it, you know, there's features that they're slightly missing in this one. So I guess it all depends on, you know, how far they're going to go with this. If they keep, you know, maturing it and whatnot, like I'm not sure, because the problem is they're both so actively developed, and every time they change Prusa, they start reworking it to work into this. So it's like, why not just contribute to Prusa at that point?
However, I will one of the biggest advantages of slicers now, we've seen some bad examples of this in the past too, but if you decouple a slicer from a company, it can be a very good thing, in the sense that it could be more generally supported, because then you have community members or project members that will have different machines and different types, and you're not going to have in-house development towards a firmware or a printer specifically. Now, we've seen Prusa Slicer in particular has been really good at keeping most things open sourced, keeping everything, you know, open to the community, and developing for other printers. But we are seeing a shift in some software that could lead to more closed systems. The first one was, I can't remember, was it Lychee? That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. Lychee Slicer?
No, it wasn't Lychee. Lychee's the open source one.
Yeah, so Lychee's the open source. Why can't I think of the other one now?
It's the other one that...
G2 box. G2. I did it. Yeah. So G2 framework, it was the roundabout way. So G2 box, G2 firmware, they had an open slicer. They had a great product. Everybody jumped on board and made printers for their firmware. Like, this is great. We're just going to throw our printers on this firmware that works really good. So you had Creality, Elegoo, Neptune, just a bunch of different ones that were making printers with it. And then one day that company decided, hey, our firmware is not so much open sourced anymore, and if you want to use the advanced features, you're gonna have to pay, and it's not cheap. It's like $100 a year or something in there. So like, we saw a reverse Prusa example, shall we say, where the company started and it made it look like they were really community driven, and then maybe they switched CEOs or something. Who knows what that change was, and they started charging. And I am not against charge software. I'm all for it. If you make a good product, you should make some money off of it to help development. But doing something like that, just flip it right away. Open projects like Super Slicer, even though it lags a little behind Prusa, may be an issue. I just lost my light. This internet today, I tell you, it's... I'm sure I might be dropping off the thing in a second here too, but
I hope not.
We'll see. But I mean, when it comes to using software from reliable sources, the companies have a beat. But when it comes to something that will remain free, open source.
And that's one of those things that we have to be aware of. I mean, I'm glad to see that both Prusa and Super Slicer are actively being developed. Prusa seems to be moving, ahead fairly rapidly. And Kira, I mean, so far they've kept a free version, but they do have their premium version that is stable that they charge people for too. So it's like, will eventually they not have a free version? Hopefully they continue to. But, it's one of those things that at any time they can decide to change that. So
yoink. And again, like, for community development and driven, you saw like the problems even with the download of Super Slicer. Not like big problems, but like, you don't have an installer, like there's no packaged version of it, so you can't just double click it and then it opens up in install window. It also the biggest issue that we saw with that one today was the smart scan.
yeah,
The fact that Windows doesn't trust it, right? And I mean, we all know Microsoft has been getting a little bit overprotective too of some things.
Well, with CryptoLocker and all the other bad stuff out in the world, that's totally understandable.
Yep.
They want you to sign your product. That way, if it changes on the PC that you're running it on, you're going to get a warning. So.
Dominic had an interesting comment that he said, my prints with Kira are always better than my Prusa Slicer prints. It's probably because I know Kira and don't know Prusa Slicer. And like, that's 100% on the money. Like, if you've been an iPhone user for your entire cellular life and you switch to Android, you're like, oh, this is the worst. I can't do anything on this phone, or vice versa, right? So if you know Kira's going to be great. Greg and I both started in Kira.
Yep.
Actually, I started with Repeatier. That goes back away. But we've both had experience in lots of these softwares.
And I still use both. But I would say my go-to daily driver is Prusa. And then if I need tree supports, Kira.
Yep. And so, like, it's tools in the bag, right? Like, your 3D printer is a tool. It, goes in the shop, or it's a great addition to a bandsaw even and stuff like that. But when you think about like all the software, those are tools for that printer. So I can't get in. Hold on. I still can't get anything done on a Mac. I hear you. I used the Mac for a very long time, and I figured it out. But I hear you.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So when we installed Super Slicer, I just want to circle back for a second. I said I would look to see if it installed in the app data folder, and it does. So the exe actually does unpack profile data into your roaming application folder. So the settings for Super Slicer are not attached in that folder. So I was curious if you deleted that folder, right? The unzipped one, if all your settings went poof. And it does not. It's very similar to the Prusa Slicer, but instead of saying prusaslicer.ini, it says superslicer.ini. So,
okay. Well, so they kept it similar. I don't like that it doesn't have a proper installer. That's weird.
That bothers me. And then the other thing is that Smart Scan.
Yeah.
It takes no time at all to get the proper certificate in that exe so that Microsoft will trust it. So, I mean, not that once you get past those two things, it look like a fine slicer, but
and it's very Prusa Slicer-esque.
Right? Yeah.
But they one thing they did do in there is a lot of the terminology in Super Slicer, they took straight from Kira. So if you are transitioning from Kira to Super Slicer, it's going to be more seamless for you because all the terminology and the things you're used to looking for, the naming conventions, they kept the same. Whereas if you go to Prusa, they have their own nomenclature.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, like a shell is a wall and just little stuff like that. Like when I... way back when I first started, when I knew nothing of these magical machines that spewed hot plastic, you'd be watching a video with like Kira, and this was before like the 3 release, so it was the old version. Then they'd be like, oh, just increase your wall, and you're like, I don't have that setting. It's just not there. And then once you get going, you realize, walls are shells, and you can change the internal ones to look garbage so the outside looks good and stuff like that.
Yeah, Steak said that Windows is the preferred OS for hackers. Well, I think it's the preferred OS to hack.
Yeah,
I don't think it's the preferred OS for hackers. I think Linux is the preferred OS for hackers.
There's a few distros I can think of that I have right now where you just kind of plug a key in and that's the end of your Windows machine. I think Greg's right. It's when you look at Windows, they have a few issues. One being the biggest one being the word registry.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, preferred to hack.
That's kind of what I thought you meant, but
yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
It would be so like, I mean, when you look at like OSs in general, Windows is the most popular, and the argument behind Macs never having viruses that is a misnomer from the 90s is nobody uses it. And it's like, no, they have viruses. It's just, you have to go find them.
Yeah. It's a little harder to get.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I hope the little bit of a rundown between like the GitHub looking at that stuff and then the quick walk we took in Super Slicer was interesting.
I think you need to do a David rundown of Prusa versus Super.
I think that would be very interesting to have a comparison,
a side-by-side comparison.
Yep.
And I think you're going to have to try to do the same version because like 2.4 is different than 2.3 slightly. So
we'll have to like version nerf them a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To give a fair comparison. Hey, you're brighter now.
I am.
My face is anyway.
You can see me. I had to turn the other one on, which doesn't work so well. 6.7. I had a virus on one of my servers, a PHP script that was targeting a Windows machine. Yeah. I've had
It
some pretty
happens.
weird ones on those web servers too.
Yep.
Like, I remember one day I came in and somebody's like, are you sure you're selling that stuff? And I looked and like it was completely hacked. Like,
Yeah.
dang it. But I mean, that's where firewalls, ATP, and all that stuff come in. So, but I digress from nerd Windows talk.
Well, Dominic, do you have teenagers using your computer? Because that's where, tweens and teens using a shared computer. That's a good place to get
It's a virus, like,
from.
Definitely. And like professionally, like I think I've probably dealt with maybe 8 instances of CryptoLocker in the last 7 years or so, one a year. Thankfully we haven't had any recently, so knock on wood.
Oh, don't jinx us, Dave.
I don't want to. I don't want to. But like when I think Greg did it too. Like we used to work at the kiosk that you'd bring your computers to fix viruses and stuff. And
oh man,
it was hilarious. Like I don't know how I got it. And then you go through like the computer, just do the scans, and you're like, oh, it came from web traffic or teens or games and stuff. It's just funny.
Someone's torrenting something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't take much these days, unfortunately. Like even your Ecobee is at risk, so keep that firmware updated.
Yeah.
The one thing that we didn't get around to, and we don't really have time to get to today, but I want to go through do a raised slicer, like kind of like we did with Bruce, or a super slicer here. So does anybody use Raise, like the Raise 3D slicer?
I haven't played
Idea
with
Maker.
I haven't played with it. Like I think I looked at it once.
Yeah,
I haven't actually tried it. So I'll have to poke around.
it's definitely an interesting product. I don't mind it. The only one that I loathe is obviously one that you pay $200 for, but I also don't like the Matter Hacker one. I forget the exact one. Maybe it's just called a Matter Control. That's what it's called. But like, it did his job at the time, but it was clunky and like it's not a competitor now. I don't have any viruses or malware scanners on any of my computers or servers, save memory and CPU cycles. If they're Windows servers, you actually do have.
It's Stig. He wouldn't have a Windows server.
I know. I know. And that's one of the biggest things. Like breaking into the Unix Linux is not as easy as Windows, but you can insert files to attack other things easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's that time. I saw definitely. That Raymond threw up a pinned comment to like, subscribe, and share. So if you haven't done so, please do. And normally we don't have as many audio issues.
It was a interesting day. We should be actually getting better stream quality too.
Yeah, well, you would think, but we'll see. But we also want to just so I don't forget again say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. Mm-hmm. Thanks Helge for being at Tree Supports, and thanks everyone else for who's on the list here. We appreciate you and everything you do for us. And don't forget, you can join us on our Discord. Anyone who is likes chatting and participating in the community, it's a great place to post things you're doing, get feedback from other people, and everyone's really helpful, and it's great little community. So again, thanks everyone for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't forget, I don't have a screen for that, but from now on for the next at least probably till the next time change, we'll be at 11 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. So every Sunday, 11 o'clock, we'll do this stream. And then we're going to start putting out some more videos now that David's voice is back and my kids' sports and whatnot have calmed down. So the plan is to get more content out for you guys. So
definitely,
I've got a lot of projects that are half started.
Yeah, they just needed to be finished, and you guys needed to see the finishing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're almost at the top of the hour. We started a little late, so technical issues, of course. Was there any topics or whatnot that you guys want us to talk about next week? You can always send them to us at info at 3dmakeit.ca.
Yep.
You can always send us comments, feedback, and that's for everyone. And you can always go to 3dmakeit.ca and find all our links to all our socials up there and our website. And we even have a little merch store up there with a t-shirt right now. I guess we should probably make some more merch, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
Well, we'll look into it.
We could, maybe a cup. I want a cup.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to start some serious playing with my CNC machine now that the weather's warming up. So I'm prepping it, getting my laptop that I'm going to be using with it all ready to go. And I'm hopefully we'll have some decent content coming for that at some point. And yes, you can always use Discord to get a hold of us as well.
Discord's probably better than email.
Well,
saying.
but email is for everyone else. Discord is for our Patreons, right?
That's true.
If you're not a Patreon, you're or in the legacy group, you're not part of Patreon. So
it's true. There's the Facebook page too, but good luck with that. All right, that's awesome. Well, we'll say goodbye for now, but we'll see you guys in a week. And thanks for coming.
bye.
Bye.